Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Midnight Verse. Today, we're diving into a case that has baffled investigators and intrigued armchair detectives for years. The mystery of Room 313 and the final, chilling phone call made from within its walls. This story isn't just about an unsolved puzzle, it's a journey into the heart of a small town, a grand old hotel, and a secret that has been locked away for decades. Our story begins on a crisp autumn evening in 1958 at the prestigious Grand Majestic Hotel. Known for its opulent decor and impeccable service, the Majestic was the jewel of the city. But on this particular night, it would become the setting for a mystery that endures to this day. A lone traveler, a man known only as Arthur Vance, checked into room 313. He was described as quiet, well-dressed, and unremarkable in every way. He paid for one night, carried a single, small suitcase, and requested to not be disturbed. For hours, silence was the only thing that came from room 313. The hotel staff went about their duties. The lobby buzzed with the gentle hum of conversation, and the city outside settled into the quiet of the late evening. Arthur Vance was just another guest, another anonymous face in the constant flow of travelers passing through the Majestic's revolving doors. No one could have predicted that his brief stay would etch the room his number into the annals of unsolved mysteries. He asked for nothing, and no one saw him leave his room after he first entered. Then, at precisely 11:47 p.m., the hotel's switchboard lit up. It was a call from room 313. The night operator, a young woman named Clara, answered with the standard, "Front desk, how may I help you?" What she heard next would haunt her for the rest of her life. The voice on the other end was frantic, breathless. It was Arthur Vance. He didn't ask for help, he didn't report a crime. Instead, he spoke a single, cryptic sentence. According to Clara's police statement, he said, "The hourglass is empty. Tell them the canary has flown." And then the line went dead. Clara was stunned. The message was bizarre, nonsensical. Was it a prank? A code? She hesitated for a moment, then tried calling the room back. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. A knot of unease tightened in her stomach. Following protocol, she alerted the hotel's night manager. The two of them, accompanied by a security guard, made their way up to the third floor. The hallway was silent, the air thick with anticipation. They stood before the door to room 313, a simple brass number glinting under the dim hallway light. They knocked. No response. They knocked again, louder this time, announcing themselves as hotel staff. The silence that answered was heavier, more profound than before. Using the master key, the manager unlocked the door and pushed it open. What they found inside was not a scene of chaos or violence, but something far stranger. The room was pristine, almost untouched. The bed was perfectly made, not a single crease on the coverlet. The suitcase Vance had carried was gone. The window was shut and locked from the inside. Every detail of the room was in order, as if it had been freshly cleaned for the next guest. There was no sign of a struggle, no broken items, no note left behind. It was as if Arthur Vance had simply vanished into thin air. He had checked in, made one baffling phone call, and then disappeared completely. Police were called immediately, and a thorough investigation began. They dusted for fingerprints, interviewed every staff member, and checked all the hotel exits. But every lead was a dead end. The investigation hit a brick wall almost immediately. No one saw Arthur Vance leave the hotel. Security logs showed no one exiting through the main doors or service exits around the time of the call. The room, as we mentioned, was locked from the inside, a classic locked room mystery. How could a man just disappear from a secured room on the third floor? Investigators were stumped. They looked into the name Arthur Vance, but it led nowhere. It was likely an alias. The man had paid in cash, leaving no paper trail. He was a ghost. The focus then shifted to the cryptic message. "The hourglass is empty. Tell them the canary has flown." Was it a code? A signal? For whom was this message intended? Police explored theories ranging from an espionage plot to a clandestine meeting gone wrong. "The hourglass is empty" could signify a deadline had passed. "The canary has flown" is a classic phrase often used to indicate that a person of interest has escaped or been moved. But who was the canary? And who were they? The questions piled up, each one more perplexing than the last. Over the years, the legend of Room 313 grew. Guests who stayed in the room reported strange occurrences: phantom phone calls in the middle of the night, the faint scent of old cologne, or the unsettling feeling of being watched. The hotel, initially reluctant to discuss the incident, eventually leaned into the legend. Room 313 became their most requested and most feared room. But the mystery of Arthur Vance and his last call remained unsolved, a cold case gathering dust in the police archives. The Grand Majestic Hotel stood as a silent monument to its most famous and most mysterious guest. Decades passed. The world changed, but the story of the last call from Room 313 was passed down, becoming a piece of local folklore. And then, in 2018, 60 years after Vance's disappearance, a breakthrough came from the most unexpected of places. A retired historian, working on a book about the city's old families, was sorting through a collection of letters donated by an estate. Tucked away in a dusty box, he found a faded letter written by a woman named Eleanor Vance. In the letter, dated a week after the incident, she wrote to her sister about her husband, Arthur. The letter was a revelation. Arthur Vance was not a spy or a criminal. He was an amateur magician and an obsessive puzzle maker. According to his wife, he had become fixated on creating the perfect escape. He saw it as the ultimate illusion, the one trick that would solidify his legacy. He had been planning it for months, meticulously scouting locations. The Grand Majestic Hotel, with its history and complex layout, was his chosen stage. The cryptic phone call was not a message for spies, but a clue for his wife, a final flourish to his performance. The pieces started to fit together. "The hourglass is empty" was a reference to a custom-made hourglass he owned, which he'd turn over to signal the start of a new puzzle for his wife. Its emptiness meant the puzzle was complete. "The canary has flown" was a nod to his beloved pet canary, which he'd once cleverly used in a vanishing act. It was his signature, his way of saying, "The magician has disappeared." But the biggest question remained: how did he get out of a room locked from the inside? The answer, it turned out, had been hiding in plain sight for 60 years. The historian, armed with this new information, revisited the hotel, which was now a protected landmark. He examined the original blueprints of the Grand Majestic and discovered something no one had noticed before: a narrow, forgotten service shaft running behind the wall of Room 313. It had been used by staff in the early 20th century, but was sealed off in the 1940s. Or so everyone thought. A closer inspection of the room revealed a section of the wall behind a heavy wardrobe that was, in fact, a concealed door. Arthur Vance, the master illusionist, had found this forgotten passage during his scouting. On that fateful night, he made his bed, packed his single bag, and made his cryptic call. Then he slipped behind the wardrobe into the dusty service shaft and made his way down to the hotel's basement, emerging through another hidden panel. From there, he walked out a service exit, a free man, having successfully pulled off his ultimate illusion. He simply walked away, leaving behind a mystery that would last for over half a century. So, the case of the last call from Room 313 wasn't a tale of crime or espionage, but a story of dedication, obsession, and the desire to create one perfect, baffling moment of magic. Arthur Vance was never seen again. He had achieved his goal, vanishing into history and leaving behind a legend. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most bewildering mysteries have the most human and most creative solutions. What do you think of this incredible story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a classic mystery, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. Your support means the world. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.